So here we're still adding mixed numbers, but this time we're going to get our answer by first changing both of our mixed numbers into improper fractions. So first we have 2½ plus 2 5/7. And remember, we change a mixed number to an improper fraction by multiplying the whole number by the denominator and then adding the numerator. So 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So that's the numerator of our improper fraction and the denominator stays the same. Now for 2 5/7, 2 times 7 is 14 plus 5 is 19. So that's 19 over 7 because again our denominator stays the same. But to add fractions we need a common denominator. So 14 is in both the 2 and the 7 times tables, so we can find equivalent fractions with a denominator of 14. We use multiplication to find equivalent fractions. 2 times 7 is 14, so if we do the same to the numerator, 5 times 7 is 35. Now 7 times 2 is 14 and 19 times 2 is 38. You might need to use column method or short multiplication to work that out. But now we have fractions with a common denominator. So we can rewrite our question. Instead of 2½ or 5/2, we can write 35 over 14 because that's equivalent. And instead of 2 5/7 or 19/7, we can write 38 over 14. So now we have a common denominator, and that stays the same in our answer. 35 plus 38 is 73. You might need to use column method to work that out, but we have our answer 73 over 14 as an improper fraction. Now most of the time you'll get the mark, you'll get the question correct, even if you leave your answer as an improper fraction. But we can turn that back into a mixed number by dividing 73 by 14. This one's a little tricky, but remember 1 times 14 is 14, so 2 times another 14 is 28. 3 times 14 must be 42. If we keep on adding 14, 4 times is 56, and 5 times is 70. So 73 divided by 14 is 5, remainder 3, and the denominator stays the same. And we can check 5 times 14 is 70, plus 3 is 73. So that's 5 and 3 over 14 as our answer. So let's use fraction bars to see what we did here. We started with 2 1/2, and we were adding 2 5/7. We changed 2½ into 5/2 and 2 5/7 into 19/7. But to add fractions we need the denominators to be the same. So we changed those 5/2 into 35/14 and those 19/7 into 38/14. So putting that together gave us a total of 73/14, but as a mixed number that's the same as 5 wholes and 3/14, so that's our answer. So now let's try 2 3/4 plus 1 2/3. Remember, we can change our mixed numbers into improper fractions by multiplying the whole number by the denominator and then adding the numerator. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11, and the denominator stays the same. Now 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5, and again the denominator stays the same. But we need a common denominator to be able to add fractions. The lowest common multiple of 4 and 3 is 12, so we can find equivalent fractions to 11/4 and to 5/3, which both have a denominator of 12. 4 times 3 is 12, 11 times 3 is 33, 3 times 4 is 12, and 5 times 4 is 20. So instead of 11 quarters, we can rewrite our question with 33 twelfths, and instead of adding 5 thirds, we can add 20 twelfths. So now we have a common denominator, so that stays the same in our answer, and 33 plus 20 is 53. So our answer is 53 twelfths. If we want to turn that into a mixed number, we can divide, and 53 divided by 12 is 4 remainder 5, and the denominator stays the same, so that's 4 and 5 twelfths as our answer. So let's show fraction bars to see what we did. We started with 2 and 3 quarters, and we were adding 1 and 2 thirds. We changed 2 and 3 quarters into an improper fraction, so into 11 quarters, and 1 and 2 thirds became 5 thirds as an improper fraction. But to add fractions, we need the denominators to be the same, so the pieces of our fraction bars are the same size. So 11 quarters is the same as 33 twelfths, and 5 thirds is the same as 20 twelfths. So putting that together gives us 53 twelfths altogether, but that's the same as 4 and 5 twelfths, so that's our answer as a mixed number.